The small town of Hollow Creek had always been shrouded in mystery. Nestled deep within the forest, its remote location made it the perfect place for tales of the supernatural. The townsfolk often spoke of Hollow Creek Manor, an abandoned house on the edge of town that had been left to decay for decades. Legends told of strange occurrences and whispered voices that could be heard at night. No one had lived there since the tragic death of the Aldridge family in 1924.
I've always been drawn to the paranormal. As a journalist, I thrive on uncovering the truth behind local legends and ghost stories. When I heard about Hollow Creek Manor, I knew I had to investigate.
Armed with her camera and a notebook, Emily arrived in the town just as the sun began to set, casting long shadows that danced eerily in the fading light. The townspeople were wary of her. They warned her to stay away from the manor, sharing hushed stories of people who had entered and never returned.
You should stay away from that place, miss. Folks who go in there, they don't come out.
But Emily was undeterred. She had faced fear before, and she was determined to uncover the secrets of Hollow Creek Manor. Emily stood at the entrance of Hollow Creek Manor, the grand old house looming over her like a silent sentinel. Its once magnificent facade was now a crumbling ruin, with ivy crawling up its sides and windows shattered like jagged teeth. The front door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a dark and dusty hallway.
The air is thick with the smell of mold and decay.
Cobwebs hung like lace from the ceiling, and the floorboards groaned under her weight. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as she stepped inside, the door slamming shut behind her with a deafening bang. She took a deep breath, steadying herself before moving deeper into the house.
Okay, Emily, you can do this.
Her flashlight cast long shadows on the walls as she made her way through the manor. Every creak and groan of the old house made her jump, but she pressed on. She reached the grand staircase that led to the upper floors, its banister covered in a thick layer of dust.
Why do I feel like I'm being watched?
As she ascended, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Emily reached the second floor and began exploring the bedrooms. Each room was filled with remnants of the past. Old furniture covered in white sheets, photographs of the Aldridge family, and personal belongings left behind in a hurry. She felt a sense of unease as she moved from room to room, the feeling of being watched growing stronger.
This place, it's like a time capsule of tragedy.
In one of the bedrooms, she found a diary belonging to Eleanor Aldridge, the youngest daughter. The entries were filled with accounts of strange noises at night, shadows moving on their own, and an overwhelming sense of dread that had plagued the family in their final days.
October 30th, 1924. The voices are getting louder. They whisper my name, urging me to do unspeakable things. Mother and father don't believe me, but I know the truth. The house is alive, and it wants us gone. I fear tonight will be our last.
Emily put the diary down, her hands trembling. She felt a cold breath on the back of her neck and spun around, but there was nothing there. The room had grown noticeably colder and the air was thick with an oppressive silence.
I need to get out of here.
She decided to head back downstairs, feeling an overwhelming urge to leave the house. As Emily descended the stairs, she heard a faint whispering coming from the parlor. Her heart raced as she followed the sound, her flashlight flickering as if struggling against an unseen force. She reached the parlor and froze. Standing in the center of the room was a translucent figure, a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and lifeless.
Oh my God!
The apparition's lips moved, but the words were a jumbled whisper. Emily's mind raced, trying to make sense of the ethereal figure before her. The ghost seemed to be pointing towards a small door hidden behind a bookshelf. Summoning all her courage, Emily moved the bookshelf and opened the door, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. Pause 3S. Emily descended the staircase, the air growing colder with each step. At the bottom, she found herself in a damp stone basement. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and the floor was littered with old, rotting furniture. In the center of the room was an old wooden chest, its lid slightly ajar. She approached the chest cautiously, the whispering voices growing louder and more insistent. With trembling hands, she opened the lid and gasped. Inside were the skeletal remains of a small child, clutching a worn teddy bear. The sight was both heartbreaking and terrifying. Suddenly, the door at the top of the stairs slammed shut, plunging the basement into darkness. Emily's flashlight flickered and died, leaving her in pitch blackness. The whispering voices grew louder, now a cacophony of unintelligible murmurs. She felt a cold hand grip her shoulder and screamed. Pause 2S. In the oppressive darkness, Emily's scream echoed off the stone walls, mingling with the ghostly whispers. Desperation clawed at her as she fumbled for her phone, its dim screen casting a feeble light. She illuminated the symbols on the walls, realizing they were ancient runes, perhaps a spell or a curse. Her fingers brushed against the teddy bear, and a sudden warmth spread through her hand. The whispers hushed momentarily, replaced by a soft child's voice. "Help me," it pleaded. Pause 2S. Emily's heart broke. She knelt beside the chest, her voice trembling. "I will," she whispered. "I promise." The warmth intensified, and the runes on the walls began to glow faintly. The child's voice guided her, telling her to find a hidden compartment in the chest. She felt around until she found a small latch. Opening it, she discovered an old, leather-bound diary and a silver locket. The diary's pages were filled with the child's handwriting, detailing a life cut tragically short and a malevolent force that haunted the manor. Pause 2S. With the diary and locket in hand, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew what she had to do. The ghostly hand released her shoulder, and the whispers turned into a soft, comforting hum. The basement door creaked open, and a sliver of moonlight illuminated the path back upstairs. As she ascended, the child's voice whispered one last time, "Thank you." Pause 2S. Emily emerged from the basement, clutching the diary and locket. She knew that the secrets of the manor were far from over, but she had taken the first step in uncovering the truth. And with that, she was no longer just a visitor in the haunted manor. She was its guardian, determined to bring peace to its restless spirits. Pause 3S. Emily fumbled in the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the presence of the spirits closing in on her, their cold breath on her skin. She reached for her flashlight, desperately trying to turn it back on. After what felt like an eternity, the light flickered to life, revealing the ghostly figures surrounding her. With a surge of adrenaline, Emily bolted for the stairs, the spirits wailing in anger. She reached the top and threw herself against the door, bursting into the hallway. She didn't stop running until she was outside, the cold night air hitting her like a wave. The manor loomed behind her, dark and silent once more. Pause 2S. But Emily knew this wasn't the end. The diary and locket in her hands felt like anchors, grounding her resolve. She took a moment to catch her breath, her eyes never leaving the dark silhouette of the manor. The child's voice echoed softly in her mind, a reminder of the promise she had made. Pause 2S. Determined not to leave the spirits in torment, Emily took a step back towards the manor, her fear replaced by a fierce determination. She would return, better prepared, and with the knowledge to put the restless spirits to peace. The manor's secrets were now a part of her, and she would not rest until it was free from its haunting curse. Pause 2S. As she walked away, the first light of dawn began to break, casting a faint glow over the manor. Emily knew that this was just the beginning of her journey, and she was ready to face whatever came next. Pause 3S. Emily left Hollow Creek that night, vowing never to return. She published her story, detailing the horrors she had witnessed, but she knew that words could never truly capture the terror of that night. The townsfolk read her account with a mix of fear and fascination, but no one dared to venture near the manor again. Hollow Creek Manor remains abandoned, a silent sentinel in the forest, its dark secrets locked away. Pause 2S. But on quiet nights, when the wind howls through the trees, the townspeople say you can still hear the whispers of the restless spirits, calling out for someone to uncover the truth of their tragic fate. Pause 2S. Years later, Emily's story became a local legend, passed down through generations. It was said that the spirits of Hollow Creek Manor were still waiting for someone brave enough to set them free. Pause 2S. One such night, a new figure appeared at the edge of the forest. A young woman, clutching a flashlight and a copy of Emily's published account, stood staring at the manor. Her eyes were filled with the same determination that had driven Emily. Pause 2S. As she stepped forward, the wind seemed to carry the faintest of whispers, almost like a welcome. The manor, dark and imposing, seemed to shift ever so slightly, as if acknowledging her presence. Pause 2S. The story of Hollow Creek Manor was far from over. The spirits still had their secrets, and the new visitor was ready to uncover them. The legacy of Hollow Creek would continue, a testament to the bravery of those who dared to face the unknown. Pause 3S. And so the manor stood, waiting, as it always had, for the next chapter of its haunting tale to unfold. The whispers of the past mingled with the hopes of the present, a reminder that some stories are never truly finished.